Well, hello and welcome to the Mindset Mentor. I'm your host, Tania Kolar, helping you live your best life. So excited about today's guest who is really going to help you up level your life and to take good care of your health. And of course, there are many factors to living our best life. And certainly one of those is vitality and health. So we're going to get some really great tips and tools in this hour from my special guest, Dr. Dwight Chapin, who is a wellness innovator. He is also a team chiropractor for the Toronto Argonauts. So I think he kind of has learned a thing or two, right? Professional athletes certainly need a lot of help with all the wear and tear, on their body. It's not only physical, but mental as well, right? The impact. So we're going to learn all about that. And also, Dwight has just written and released a book called Take Care. It's the 7 rituals for health, strength, and hope. And I love that he sort of added hope because I find that, when we are hopeless, that creates such a problem in life and really leads to depression. So key to have all of those components working for us. And we're going to learn some really cool strategies to hardwire those rituals for success. So how about we just jump right into the conversation and say hello and welcome to Dr. Dwight Chapin. Such a pleasure to have you on the show here today.
Oh, well, thanks for the invitation. Been looking forward to this conversation.
Yay. I think we all could use a little bit of help. And, it's interesting because I find that so many people don't really understand the benefit of chiropractic care. So I kind of want to start there because I know that it's not just about fixing, let's say, some of the problems that we have, in our body, but it's also a great form for preventative care. So what exactly is chiropractic care?
Well, that's a great place to start. I think that one of the things that I see every day in practice is that people's struggles are rooted in unhealthy habits. And as a musculoskeletal expert, posture doesn't lie. I mean, the body harnesses all kinds of different stresses physically. And so I explain my skill set to patients as you can think of me as an orthopedic mechanic. I'm going to help you get more out of your body. We're going to look at muscle symmetry and balance and coordination and movement quality. And obviously, we're known for helping with acute mechanical back pain and neck pain, but there's also a role that we can play in terms of managing and preventing sports injuries and helping people with healthy aging. And as I talk about in the book, just tapping into the body's healing potential. So
Mhm.
from that perspective, there's also a role for us to play as wellness coach.
I love that. So the body's healing potential, we certainly have that, and really great focus because I feel sometimes that people give up and they think it's not possible for me to have
Mhm,
better health, or I've been trained this way, or my family has this situation. Poor posture runs in our family. So
mhm,
I think we get stuck in those belief systems, which is a big barrier to the health that we can achieve for ourselves and really to
mhm,
optimize our health. So, what
mhm,
can you say, about that in terms of taking us from where we are to where we want to be or where we could be? Not necessarily we want,
mhm,
because we don't know sometimes that we want that,
mhm,
right?
mhm. Well, one of my passions is helping people understand sort of where they're in their own way. Because you're
Mm-hmm.
absolutely right. Many people don't see where their lifestyle has them stuck, or they've created barriers for themselves to get access to this healing potential that we all have. And longevity experts are showing us that, listen, 80% of degenerative diseases that are plaguing our society today are lifestyle driven.
Mm-hmm.
There's incredible power that we have in the daily choices that we make every day. And when we start stacking those choices and we access our healing potential, then the quality of life starts to change and the years we have to live starts to change. So that's really sort of the entry point, is to get people inspired and excited, more aware of how their body works. And then from awareness, we can tap into the what's your why, what's motivating you, where are you struggling? Is that in sleep quality? Is that in a genetic predisposition to a particular condition? Is that in energy quality? Is it in weight management? Is it in strength or mobility? And I mean, studies are being done on 90-year-olds that are showing increased strength and balance and coordination and movement with very simple strategies, with just bringing in a little bit more resistance training and movement to their day. So the body's ability to forgive and adapt is extraordinary. When we learn how to stack healthy choices, we gain access to that healing potential in such a way that we can alter how our genes are expressed. So even if there is a genetic predisposition to a particular condition, we can sidestep that and rewrite a different story to our life.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of like, epigenetics, right?
Got it.
It's all about the environment. The
Yeah.
environment can be changed to really allow us to thrive, as opposed to feeling, unwell and sick or tired, exhausted, fatigued. I think there's a lot of mental fatigue that the world has
Hmm.
collectively experienced,
Hmm.
and I find that that leads to dis-ease in the body, and then
Hmm.
can turn into more serious illness. So let's talk about some of the key things that you spoke about. And I think one of the big things that most people, may not connect right away that is essential to that well-being is the quality of our sleep. As we're sleeping, that's when our body is healing and rejuvenating. And when we're having a lack of
Hmm.
sleep, oh my goodness, like, I mean, I know for myself too, that when I don't have adequate sleep, especially if it kind of is for days or weeks, it's cognitive function
Hmm.
declines.
Hmm.
Just can't think clearly, and
Hmm.
also the our tolerance level goes out the window.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So what I've done with the book is I've studied 21 influential Canadians and did a deep dive into their practice. Like, what's
Hmm.
their routine? What's their formula for health and wellness? How have they crafted that formula? How do they nurture it? What adversity have they had in their lives that have led them to the practices that they participate in? And so in the book, there are these 21 stories of these 21 lives that are designed to help people understand and build that awareness and be inspired. And then as I did that research and worked with these individuals, I uncovered that there was a common ground to their excellence. And that common ground is what the book's based on. That's the 7 wellness rituals. And the first
Mm.
one you've tapped on is the wellness ritual number 1: prioritize sleep, rest, and recovery. And
Mm.
one of the struggles that people have in just getting their health to improve is this perspective that sleep is almost an inconvenience. It's like we can't flip a switch and just suddenly achieve a healthier sleep quality as your head hits the pillow. You have to work at developing a healthy sleep hygiene and prime the body for sleep. And so with prioritizing sleep, for many people that starts with understanding biologically what happens in sleep. And it's really quite spectacular. Like, the body has this ability, the brain has this ability to detoxify in sleep. We're getting rid of memory impairing proteins when we sleep, and we're boosting our immune function, and we're regulating our weight and helping control our cortisol levels and blood sugar levels, and we're elevating our mood, and we're stepping off of that rat race and that stress response curve as we're sleeping. So as you said earlier, it's our access to tapping into our healing potential. And so when you come to sleep and the preparation and the work that's done in advance of sleep, and we can talk maybe about some of those practices, those
Hmm.
practical solutions, there's sort of this understanding that this is my opportunity to reset so that I'm going to be in a better position to succeed tomorrow. And the mentors in the book that I highlight, their life story, they all embrace sleep. It's like their ally, it's their friend, it's their secret weapon. And there's a real healthy perspective to the investment that they make in making sure that that's there.
Mm.
And I find a lot of patients really struggled with just that step, like just understanding how crucial it is.
Yeah, I think that society has almost revered like having little sleep. It's like,
Totally.
oh, I only had 4 hours of sleep, and look at
Yeah.
what I accomplished.
Yeah.
Right? And we almost like try to outdo each other. Yeah, you had 4 hours. Well, I only
Yeah.
had three.
I'll see you. I did 3. Yeah. And you mentioned the epigenetic factors. Like, they've done studies where they don't get adequate enough sleep for, say, 5 nights in a row. And we're already seeing a change in insulin sensitivity and blood sugar levels. And they've done studies on physicians where they put them through a series of routine procedures and they measure their accuracy and the time that it takes. And we see that after 24 hours of sleep deprivation, there's 20% more errors in their work and 14% slower to complete the work. So with sleep deprivation, the sleep debt that we're priding ourselves on as we're chasing a fast life, like, it's leading to what's called insufficient sleep syndrome, which is now this public health epidemic. And it's
Mm.
linked to serious issues like premature aging, cancer, metabolic disease, hypertension, mental illness, early death. I mean, all kinds of crazy distortions in how our genetic code is expressed. So
Hmm.
it's a real issue. And conversations like this, and I hope in sharing these profiles will help elevate the conversation around just let's put a priority on the time we're investing in our body's ability to heal every night. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's wonderful, and I'm really happy that you are here to share your wealth of knowledge and to guide people, to help them understand that it is vital, and there are practical things that we can do. You don't
Mm-hmm.
need to be a professional athlete, right? You don't need to spend thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands or tens of thousands of dollars to try to get that better health and optimize, your well being. It can happen now in this moment, because every moment is a choice, and we can choose to have better health. We can choose to thrive and to live our best life. And it could be tonight when you're, putting your head down on the pillow. Some of those strategies to really start to have, better sleep. And I also know that when it comes to, learning new things, our brain is very plastic, right? It's like
Mm-hmm.
neuroplasticity.
Mm-hmm.
But as we're sleeping, that's when we actually start to rewire the new neural networks. It happens through sleep, right? So sleep is so important to everything in life, and I think that a lot of parents who are busy and their kids are up. They can also learn to sort of be that role model, right? Like, let's all really show how important sleep is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of practices can we incorporate that can help
Mm-hmm.
us get
Mm-hmm.
that better, deeper sleep?
Mm-hmm. Well, the first thing I would say is that it takes a bit of experimentation and patience, right?
Mm-hmm.
As you start to work on your sleep quality, sleep hygiene, and sleep has two dimensions, right? There's the length of time we want to be sleeping, but there's also the quality of the sleep that we're getting. So the general benchmark is adults are looking for 7 to 9 hours a night of sleep, children 10 hours, and seniors or individuals over 65 are looking for usually for 7 to 8 hours. And one of the mentors featured in the book is Dr. Robin Hanley Defoe, and she's a stress resiliency expert. And what I love about her approach to sleep is she's like, the last thing in the world we want to do in heightening people's awareness of the importance of sleep is drive anxiety around needing sleep. Like,
Oh,
so she works to a 3 day average. So she is a successful author and has a busy practice and educator. And so she'll look over the course of her week to try to fall within that 7 to 9 hours as an average over a 3 day period. And so if life gets away from her because she's busy with her professional life or with her busy family, then that's okay. Like, that's the neat thing about crafting a formula is
mm-hmm.
that you get to play the game again tomorrow. So how can
Yeah.
you get better tomorrow? So to create the sleep hygiene or the preparation for improved quality of sleep usually takes about an hour, right? So as you're looking at when you want to be asleep, you work backwards from there. What are you doing that hour before bed?
Mm.
And you don't need to be in a dark room by yourself, but our body is incredibly responsive to light. So, how are you using light as you're preparing for bed? So, dimming the lights makes a big impact. When you wake up, exposure to natural light within a half an hour of waking helps
Mm-hmm.
to set your circadian rhythm, and that helps to set your sleep cycle. So, using light as a variable is a particularly effective strategy. And then within that hour before bed, you're wanting to choose activities that bring you joy and that also help you decompress. So for some that's reading, for some it's a hot bath, for some it's a meditation practice or gentle stretching or time with family. But it's trying to back away from activities like watching the evening news if that's going to
Mm.
wind you up, or having heated conversations, or getting stuck watching Netflix and letting your bedtime push later.
Mm.
So you've got to find what your ritual is. Like for me, I like to be in bed asleep by 10 and I'm up at 6. That's sort of my go-to. So around 9 o'clock, I'm starting my wind down, and that's time with family. By 9:30, quarter to 10, I'm usually upstairs and I'm reading, and then I'll do a 10-minute meditation before I fall off to sleep. And those practices, now that I've been doing them long enough, trigger my mind and my body that, oh yeah, this is the time I'm supposed to sleep. And we're
Mm.
these creatures of habit that we just fall into that pattern is our nervous system, as you mentioned, your neuroplasticity, your nervous system starts to become accustomed to that routine of the bedtime and the pre-bed ritual.
Yeah, and then it becomes easy. I think that's one of the things that we can, that prevents us from getting that system in place and then developing those big and better habits is the fact that we believe it's difficult, right? But
Yeah,
once you start to do it and then you have that automatic routine, it just becomes again very, very natural. But the benefits down the road, I mean, they're just, tenfold, right? I mean, you can't even put a
exactly.
price on
And
that.
you touch on an important point, and that's like if you're going into sleep with the perspective that it's difficult, that I'm going to have a hard time with this, it does become more difficult. So it's trying to release that and get your mind around embracing the healing time. For some patients, just a simple breathing technique is a really good way to de-stress. You can take a deep breath in for a 4 second count and hold for a 6 to 7 second count, and then exhale slowly for a 7 to 8 second count and repeat that 10 times. And if you make it to 10 and you're not already asleep, and you're still awake, your biorhythm will have significantly reduced. So breathing techniques, you're looking at what you're eating and when you're eating. So late meals, late caffeine, late alcohol, that'll all disrupt sleep. So there's some
Hmm.
lifestyle practices there that'll really set you up for success with sleep. Bringing some physical activity into your day also will really help bring increased quality of rest at night. So
Hmm.
the seven wellness rituals are all tied in together and they'll all help each other. But with respect to sleep, what we're eating, when we're eating, how we're exercising and moving through the day, what the mental mindset is around our thoughts, all have a big impact on sleep quality.
Yeah, so important. It's that overall approach, right? That I think if one thing is out of whack, kind of everything is out of whack, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we're gonna continue the conversation here on the Mindset Mentor with my special guest today, Dr. Dwight Chapin. He is author of the brand new book, Take Care. It's seven rituals, yes, for
Yeah,
health, strength, and hope.
take good care.
Yeah.
Seven wellness rituals for strength, for health, strength, and hope.
Awesome. I love it. And also, taking 21 influential people and really delving into their story and what works for them and sharing that with you. So it's really a wonderful guide. It's a step by step guide to help you live your best life. So stay with us and we'll continue the conversation after this break. Welcome back to the Mindset Mentor here on Sauga 960. I'm Tania Kolar, helping you live your best life. And that is one of my goals. Certainly, having the show is to allow you to thrive, and the best way that I can do that is to have experts on the show who can, share their wealth of knowledge and their expertise and other stories. So what I love about today's conversation is taking a look at some of the top influencers and looking at their life. What do they do to develop optimal health? Really delving into that. Dr. Dwight Chapin has written a book that shares that incredible knowledge and information so that you can live your best life. The book is called Take Good Care: Seven Rituals for Health, Strength, and Hope. Dr. Dwight Chapin, thank you so much for being here on the Mindset Mentor today. Earlier, I was calling the book, Take Care. I missed the component and that word good. And that is so essential because, I think we forget to take good care of ourselves. So let's continue the seven rituals. We really kind of delved into the importance of sleep, but in sharing that, we touched on, physical wellness and diet. So I'd love to kind of, focus a little bit more on diet if we can, because I know that there's a lot of these sort of fad diets around. So are they good? Are they bad? Intermittent fasting and all these things that we do to our body and the metabolic system. So what are your thoughts on diet?
So, I've seen patients come in with all kinds of diets, and I've seen people be successful with them, and I've seen this people on the same diet fail miserably on the diets. And so, as I was studying the lifestyle practices of these 21 individuals, and one of them was Jennifer Zygo, who's the team dietitian for the Toronto Raptors, as well as Athletics Canada and Gymnastics Canada.
Hmm.
And Jen says, your diet may not help you win the game, but sure as heck can help you lose the game. And what I love about her perspective is that she's like, listen, Dwight, there is no one diet. What you should not be doing in your book is prescribing a diet. And so I have not. What we've learned from the study of these practices and the studying of the research is that, listen, our variability and our dietary needs is just so wildly diverse that we have to figure out the best eating strategy for our health to access our own healing potential. And these 21 individuals look at the food they consume as a therapeutic tool. So the dietary practices or habits or routines that we've grown up with, the resources that we have available to us, our cultural background, our emotional health, our mental health, our medical history and metabolic health, our gut microbiome and the biodiversity in our biome, and our genetic variability, they all set sort of what our own unique dietary needs are going to be. So what we've done with the book when we turn to diet is wellness ritual number 2 is consume healthy fuel. Wellness ritual number 3 is fight for your waistline. And with wellness ritual number 2, the consume healthy fuel, it's all around how can we access nutrients that are high quality, limit ultra processed foods and the high sugar and salt and unhealthy fats that are in those foods to minimize inflammation and reduce the risk of disease. Whereas in wellness ritual number 3, when we're looking at fight for a healthy waistline, it's understanding how, what, when, and why we eat influences our metabolic health and the way in which the body uses energy. Genetically, or if we're looking at just the evolutionary forces on health and weight and energy and waste management, we're genetically designed to store calories and stockpile them in fat reserves when we're living in times of abundance. Our ancestors were rewarded if they could stockpile their resources when times were good, and they may survive a season ahead when times are not so good if they were to do so. So as long as we continue to consume a calorie-rich North American diet, and that features high levels of ultra-processed foods, and we live sedentary lives, we're going to lose this fight for our waistline. And so the practices that are discussed in the book and the science that's revealed is really around how to consume an anti-inflammatory diet and how to, again, tap into that genetic potential that we have to heal by using food as a therapeutic tool. And much like what we talked about with sleep, you're shifting your mindset around the importance and the quality of sleep and embracing what it can do for you. And so if you're looking at how you're consuming and what you're consuming from the same lens, it changes the perspective, right? Like, I no longer have sugar in my coffee. Do I like sugar in my coffee? Yes, I enjoy the taste of sugar in my coffee, but it's one choice that I can make on a daily basis to reduce the amount of sugar that I have in my body. And that's more important to me as a one choice that I can make to stack a healthier mind and body in the choices that we're making. So we can get into more detail, certainly, if you'd like, but just as an overarching strategy with respect to nutrition, that's how we've come at this book.
No, I love that because I think, we kind of have a tendency sometimes to reach for food. It could be that feel good moment, or it's just that we don't know that, I mean, it tastes so good. So we're choosing that to sate that craving in that moment and not realizing like the impact. So it could be that overabundance of sugar where it feels really great and you got maybe a little bit of a sugar rush and high for a moment as well, but then comes the crash. And then, I would imagine, I don't know, but you can tell us if that intake of sugar, if we're having an abundance of sugar, does that affect that sleep cycle, later on?
Yeah. So I just want to be clear too that to consume healthy fuel and put a diet together that's going to help you tap into your healing potential. I mean, this isn't about suffering, right? Like all of these 21 people, they all enjoy their food. It's celebrating with food, with good friends and good times, and even in not so good times. I mean, that's part of the human experience. And so the idea here is to stack healthy choices more than not, right? So if you get out in front of the choices that you're making and are able to have a better perspective on, okay, how does the body use these calories? and how can I tap into a higher quality of energy through eating well, then you start to see the changes in performance and in healing as a result of making those choices. So a lot of chronic disease is driven by the sugar rush and the insulin drop in insulin sensitivity that we have from our diets. I mean, Canadians, 2/3 of us are overweight or obese, and
Mm.
over 50% of our calories are coming from ultra processed foods. So studies have shown that, for every 10% increase that your diet is formed from ultra processed foods, your risk of death increases by 14%. So the last thing we want to do is recommend that people go out with these radical diets because they're just not sustainable, right?
Yeah.
So it's finding early easy wins. So take a look at your pantry and your fridge, get rid of the processed foods, stock it with healthy snacks, make it convenient. Allow yourself to be successful by setting yourself up for easy decisions. And
Yeah.
you know
Uh,
that's sort of a good starting point.
Yeah, for sure. If we set ourselves up for success, I feel that meal planning definitely can help with that. I know that if I sort of plan ahead, I eat healthier,
Mhm.
and most of the time, I'm going to be honest, I don't meal prep, right? But I know that it's easier when we're all sort of busy to reach for what is available, to
Totally.
reach for those quick foods, right? Which
Yeah.
sometimes leads to processed foods, which is not ideal.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. One of the mentors in the book is Jim Tree Living. And
Yeah.
so talking to Jim about his story, he's an RCMP officer for 8 years. He goes in and has his lunch at this pizza spaghetti house, and it's a phenomenal lunch. He brainstorms with a friend, and before he knows it, he's buying a restaurant. And 15 years later, he buys the franchise, so he now has 44 restaurants, and now we sit here today, and he has over 400 restaurants, Boston Pizza, of course.
Hmm.
And so in the early days, Jim's formula was simply like love your work and work hard. Like that was it. That
Mm.
was the complexity of his approach to health and wellness and success. And so he would buzz around his restaurants at all hours, ridiculously long days, and many times behind the bar, he'd take a quick swig of the concentrated pop syrup
Hmm.
without the carbonated water, and that would give him the jolt of energy that he needed to get through his day. Well, it led to massive swings in his weight and uric acid and chronic back pain and like really poor health that he didn't see the connection between the pace and how he was trying to fuel his body. So it was impacting sleep, weight, energy quality, and then started into some chronic pain. So his approach to health and wellness now as an 80-year-old man compared to where he was at 30 has completely changed and evolved to this very robust understanding of choosing to fuel his body for success. And at 80 years old, he wants to live a full active life at 80, not because he's 80, but because that's what he intends to do. And so, when you're looking at building an anti-inflammatory diet, it's how can you make choices to increase your fruits and vegetables, eat whole foods, get more fiber in your diet, load up on the phytochemicals and the polyphenols. These are powerful compounds found in fruits and vegetables, and then cut back on your processed foods. And if
Yeah.
every meal you're just looking to think through that, if it's just that, I mean, there's a lot more in the book, but if it's just that, then you're going to start to make some healthy choices that you maybe wouldn't have otherwise. And that's a good start.
Yeah, and again, you could just be that one thing that you're going to start with, so you don't have to overwhelm yourself. I think the moment that we say we can't have something, the more we want it. But
Of course.
again, it's like maybe it's
Yeah.
the 80/20 rule or whatever, just more of one good thing versus the
Yeah.
bad, right? Or
Yeah.
what we perceive to be bad. And I think we all know when we eat healthfully and foods that nourish our body, it feels really good,
It does.
right? And then you also know the opposite, where you've eaten something that doesn't feel good and you feel lethargic and you you wake up in the morning sometimes not feeling great.
Yeah.
So I'd love to get your thoughts on, waking up in the morning, like, how should we feel revitalized? I think people give up and think, well, it's not possible because maybe I'm 80 or whatever age you
Yeah.
are, or
Yeah.
I'm aging and I
Yeah.
should feel the decline in my body from the back and the shoulders and everything. So what are your thoughts there?
Well, yeah, I mean, one of the signs of just good sleep quality is that you are waking feeling rejuvenated.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of people, especially as the body does age, there's stiffness and soreness on waking. Um, I'm 50 years old, and so one of my practices now is that when I get up in the morning, I get on the floor and I do a 5 to 10 minute mobility practice.
Mm-hmm.
And I then have a hot shower and I finish that shower with a 30-second cold shower. And like I'm ready to tackle the day after that. And I feel every bit as healthy as I did when I was 35.
Mm-hmm.
But was I doing the mobility practice at 40? No. So my job is demanding mentally and physically. And so I need to have that strength and clarity of mind. And I want to charge into my day with some enthusiasm. And so that morning ritual for me, the waking and getting right to that morning mobility practice is one way for me to prioritize my self-care, and that has a huge ripple effect in terms of the mindset that I bring into the day.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll move from that into what am I going to do that morning in terms of my breakfast, and how am I going to prepare my snacks for the morning in between patients, and or my lunch for the day. So like as I'm moving into my morning meal, I'm already thinking strategically about how I'm going to fuel my body over the course of that day, depending on what it is that I need to do.
Mm-hmm. And you
So
talk
yeah, so
no, you talked about mobility practice. So can you tell us a little bit about what that looks like?
yeah. So just get on the floor on a yoga mat and work from head to toe. And the book has an accompanying website. It's called 7wellnessrituals.com. And one of the professional football players that I work with, McLeod Bethel Thompson, and I have put together a whole series of videos. And on the website, you will see my mobility practice. We filmed it, so you can actually watch what it is that I do. And we've also
Mm-hmm.
filmed McLeod's practice. And there's also a number of other videos and tools that accompany the book. So, but I like to keep it so that it's not an intense workout. It's meant more to listen to where I feel restriction in my movement. And so some days there'll be a little bit more emphasis on hamstrings or hips or shoulders. There's a spine mobility component to it, so that when I pop up off the floor and hop into the shower, like my body feels like it's well oiled and moving well, and that movement quality that I talked to my first patient about, that I'm in that zone and I put that work in.
Oh, I love that. And also just having that mobility practice versus a, rigorous workout. I mean, that could lead to a rigorous
Yep.
workout if somebody wants to, but I think that's helpful if we start there. That gives us the momentum to keep on going and we start to see the results and we start
Yeah.
to feel better. So let's talk about another one of your 7 rituals and then, learn a little bit more about the strategies that you've incorporated into your book. And I love that you have really laid it out, systematically and strategically for people to get the benefits, no matter where they are, in their health, because I think everybody's different. And of course, you've worked with a lot of professional athletes. You are a team trainer, chiropractor for the Toronto Argonauts. Obviously, you've worked with other teams as well. But, for the everyday person, there's so many great tools to incorporate.
Mm-hmm. So the wellness ritual number 4, if we're going to work through,
Mm-hmm.
it is move to stay young. And wellness ritual number 5 is protect your strength. And so they
Mm-hmm.
sort of go hand in hand. And I'll tell patients, I'll say, listen, like we don't have to accept a decline in health as we age. And again, what the science is showing us is that a lot of the hallmarks of biological aging that we're starting to learn how to identify and affect or influence through lifestyle changes are going to dramatically change how the body ages. In fact, these longevity experts are looking at aging as the disease that we should be treating, not chronic disease.
Huh.
And so, movement is one of the best ways that you can change how your body ages. So when we challenge our range of motion, our strength, our balance, our coordination, not only do we improve the quality of our movement, our ability to move, but we also change the rate with which the body ages. And so there's 2 components to the wellness ritual number 4, move to stay young. And one is that over the course of a week, you're looking to try to accumulate 150 minutes of activity. And that's not all at once. That can be chopped up into small blocks.
Mm-hmm.
It's best if those blocks are 10 minutes or more. And it's best that if those 10 minutes are with an elevated heart rate, but the goal is to get to 150. Now, if you're doing 0 or 20 in a week, like don't go to 150, right?
Yeah.
Like, to go from 20 to 30, like gradually build that program in. But listen, Canadians, adults spend 9.6 hours a day sitting. Like if we were to convert one of those hours to a low intensity walk, we can reduce all cause mortality by as much as 30%. We could
Hmm.
reduce major depression by as much as 26%. And that's just taking a walk around the block one night after dinner. Like
Yeah.
this doesn't have to be a expensive, sophisticated gym membership. It's just finding opportunities to bring movement to your day and bring a variety of movement to your day. So patients of mine, they're in office environments or in sedentary postures. I'll say, listen, like every hour you got to get up. And you can be stand and do a few quarter squats or shoulder shrugs or side bends or just, walk to the washroom and back, a flight of stairs up or down. Like get creative, but find different ways to bring movement to your day.
Hmm.
And when we chop up the length of time that we spend sitting at one time and we start striving towards building that 150-minute of activity a day, like the game changes in a really profound way.
I love that.
And that research is supported even for those with osteoarthritic knees and hips and spines. Like movement is medicine.
Yes, and it could be as simple as, you're waiting for a pot to boil, and walk around while that's boiling, right? So it's not taking
Absolutely.
extra time
You bet.
necessarily. Yeah,
You
yeah,
bet.
it's really sort
You're
of,
brushing your teeth, stand on one leg, work on your balance.
oh, okay.
Putting groceries away, do a few curls before you put the milk back in the fridge. Like
I love
it just,
it.
whatever the case is, right? And then as we turn to wellness ritual number 5, that's protect your strength. This is one that really catches people off guard, but we lose our muscular strength after the age of 30.
Mm.
So by the time we're 40, like we're already a decade into decline if we're not practicing some type of resistance training. Now, the good news is that resistance training fits into the formula that you're trying to create for good health. It doesn't require more time. It's that 150-minute commitment that you're striving towards with wellness ritual number 4. You're going to take 20 to 40 minutes of that 150 minutes and use that for some type of resistance training. And again, on the book website, 7wellnessrituals.com, there's programs and videos on how to bring resistance training and different types of movement strategies to your day.
Hmm.
But it's by bringing resistance training in, not only do you get stronger and have better orthopedic function, but the research shows it's better for sleep, energy, weight management, reduce our visceral fat, our insulin sensitivity increases, cardiovascular health improves, cognitive function improves. Like
Hmm.
resistance training is this unbelievable fountain of youth that I don't think is getting enough attention.
Well, thank you for sharing that, and we're gonna, shed some light on that attention here on the Mindset Mentor. You're listening to to Sauga 960. That was Dwight Chapin, Dr. Dwight Chapin. He is author of the new book, Take Good Care: 7 Rituals for Health, Strength, and Hope. We'll continue the conversation and talk about the 6 and 7 rituals when we come back. Welcome back to the Mindset Mentor. I'm Tania Kolar. So, how did you feel this morning when you woke up? I certainly hope that you were full of vitality, ready to start your day, jumping out of bed. But I think the reality is for a lot of people that you wake up feeling exhausted. You didn't sleep well, you were tossing and turning, we're kind of sleep deprived as a society. But in this show, we have been sharing on how to gain vitality, how to gain better health so that you can live your best life. My special guest today is Dr. Dwight Chapin, a wealth of knowledge when it comes to, our health and chiropractic care and the whole system in the body. There's so many benefits. His book is called Take Good Care. It's brand new, just released. Dr. Dwight is going to share with you how you can get a copy of his book, and it's 7 wellness rituals for health, for Strength, yes, and hope. So, some really key components there, full of strategies to help you live your best life. Dr. Dwight Chapin, it's such a pleasure having you here on the Mindset Mentor today. I know we're going to jump into the sixth and seventh ritual. We've sort of, dived into each of the benefits with the information that you have amassed through your patients and the professionals that you are working with. And you have a lot of, mentors in the book that you've sort of
Mhm.
placed to guide people. And I think that's really key because I believe that we all learn so much from each other, and having that personal experience. It's like, oh my gosh, if they can do it, then I can too. And we can sort of follow along the guides that have been successful, right?
Mhm. Yeah, the next two rituals are particular favorites of mine, and they're really important. Ritual number 6 is nurture mental fitness, and ritual number 7 is play with purpose.
Ooh.
So the idea of this book has really been in my mind for the 25 years that I've been in practice. I've always been fascinated in a patient's journey. When they show up in the clinic, what are their daily practices? How do those line up with where they are in their health, or as it relates to their goals that they have? Is there consistency in their practices, or
Mm-hmm.
are there challenges? And I've been fortunate enough to care for many leaders, both in business and in sport and entertainment and in healthcare. And I'm fascinated by those that achieve a level of success and do so with their health intact. And of course, there are those that do that. And I've studied their lifestyle, and I've shared their stories in this book. But there are also those that reach that level of success, and their health is in shambles. They've really sacrificed their health to get to that level. So when we reached the end of 2020 and COVID, I was seeing in practice a real shift in patients' mindset. There was a determination to want to come out of the pandemic with a different relationship with work, with self care, with
Mm-hmm.
family, with how they had stacked up the different demands in their life. And we're seeing a massive ripple effect in mental health decline coming through, and to this point in the pandemic. So World Health Organization was saying, listen, like the depression and anxiety has gone up 25% above where it was. And before pandemic in Canada, those that are the age of 40, 1 in 2 either had or have a mental illness. So, I mean, this is a
Oh.
profound impact. Healthcare, or Health Canada was saying that 95% of practitioners were showing high levels of stress and anxiety in healthcare, and 1 in 4 nurses looking to retire within the next 3 years because of the stress in their environment. So the silver lining in all of this is that it's created this disruption, and this from the disruption, there's this awareness, and that's turning people to mental fitness, and that's getting out on the proactive, preventative side of building a resiliency and a capacity and how we embrace stress. And so with mental fitness, we're really looking at the concept of how do you develop psychological, social, emotional, and spiritual well-being. And the mentors that I met with in this book, I mean, with every conversation, I felt like I was leveling up. It was this master class in life that I just felt so
Mm.
privileged to be able to share their stories. One of the mentors is Jan Arden. And the question that everybody asks Jan is like, what was your break? And how did your career evolve? And she said, Dwight, like it's just not that simple. Like it's from hard work, but more importantly, it's from the inner dialogue that you have. It's the thoughts that you have. It's how you treat yourself. And
Mm-hmm.
the impact of that dialogue, the impact that has on the direction of your life and the choices you make and the difference between success and failure in life, that's where the magic really happens. Michael Pinball Clemens is another mentor in the book, and he talks openly in the book about the influence of his mom. And his mom would say, Michael, you focus on what you don't have or what you want, and you're going to end up with what you don't have. Like your focus will become your fact. And so both of these mentors have found a way to tap into the power of owning their mindset. And when you own your mindset, the researchers and the happiness experts are showing us that happiness is actually a choice. Even when
Mm-hmm.
life is hard, we can choose to be happy, not artificially, not rainbows and unicorns, but the point I want to make is that it's the perspective and the control we have over mindset, even in adversity, changes our physiology and has a dramatic impact on health. And so the mentors and their stories reflect just how they do that. But what we'll do in practice is help people understand sort of where they are on their stress curve, and how they can shift that mindset to stress becoming enhancing, not stress is debilitating, and making
Mm-hmm.
that they're on the left side of their stress curve where stress increases performance and health and longevity, not on the right side where we start to see chronic stress and a decline in health and performance. So,
Yeah, yeah, where it affects the, the sympathetic nervous system, right? In that fight or flight mode. I think too many of us operate from that space, because of our challenges. But if we can, take those challenges and sort of mine the gifts within those challenges, we can gain that new perspective and see things in a different way to propel us forward powerfully,
mhm,
despite those challenges. Because the reality is that everybody has challenges. I mean, that's
yeah,
life. We will have
that's like,
challenges, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and when you're in a chronic cycle of high levels of stress, like you train your brain to be on the lookout for the next crisis. Like you
Yeah.
lock yourself in, your nervous system gets locked into this fight or flight response, and the centers of the brain that control creativity and high order thinking and strategic planning, like that's actually those areas start to shrink, and areas
Hmm.
of the brain that are more primitive that control emotional responses and survival instincts, like they become excited. So you're actually training your body and your mind to be in this perpetual loop of chronic stress, which will shorten your life. I mean, there's just
Hmm.
the research clearly shows that. So when you start to understand what your triggers are, what your stressors are, and then you start really paying attention to the inner dialogue around those stressors, then you develop the tools to actively choose to react or not.
Hmm.
And coming back to Dr. Robin Hanley Defoe, who's dedicated her life to stress resiliency and what are the key components or pillars of stress resiliency, her model's based on building a community and a sense of belonging, developing acceptance and perspective, and then practicing humor and hope. And so the wellness
Hmm.
ritual number 6 is really designed on how do you do that? What's the science behind those pillars? And how do you bring that to your life?
I love that. I think that we need to create more laughter and give ourselves permission to allow that joy to
Yeah.
come and enter into our lives. Just you had also mentioned Pinball Clemens, and I know that he had said that you were instrumental, that in helping to win the two Grey Cups, right? So working with his team to get that success. So I love that you now have put all of those principles in a book that is available to everyone to start to get the benefit of daily practices, those habits, those rituals that can be a game changer, that are a game changer. So how can everybody get your book, Dr. Chapin?
Well, we had our book launch last week, and by Thursday at the clinic, we were sold out. So it's
Ah.
gone fast. The fastest way to get it at this point is on Amazon. It's last week was ranking as a number one in healthcare, so we're really thrilled with the quick start. But it'll be available everywhere books are sold online and in bookstores. But Amazon's your
Congratulations.
quickest route to it now.
Love it, love it. All right. So, any final words that you'd like to leave, or a message for the listeners and the viewers? Because we just have a couple minutes, or just a minute left.
Yeah, I would just say that good health is revealed when we start to learn how to stack healthy choices. And when
Mm.
we treat ourselves with kindness and with patience, and we just every day is a new day, is a new opportunity to play a new game, and we bring a positivity to that experience, then we can really change how the body ages and the health that we enjoy later in life. So
Yes,
I
and
wish
you
everybody
apps.
good luck.
Yes, thank you. And you certainly deserve to have that great health. If you're listening right now, there's a reason that you're listening. I encourage you to have a look on Amazon for Dr. Dwight Chapin's new book, Take Good Care: 7 Rituals for Health, Strength, and Hope. I think I got that right.
7 wellness rituals for health, strength, and hope.
Yes, I love it. Dr. Dwight Chapin, thank you so much for being here and
My
sharing your
pleasure.
wealth of knowledge. All right, everyone. So remember that your mindset is like a muscle that needs to be strengthened and conditioned. And this was your mindset workout. And all of these wonderful tools that you just heard with Dr. Dwight Chapin allow you to live your best life. So stay tuned. We've got more coming up here on The Mindset Mentor. I'm Tania Kolar.